Hello, my tarot friends. This is Cara from Cara Tarot, and today I am answering a VR. This is hashtag collectors mass market must-haves. It's another delightful tag by Nova Mundi Tarot, and I was tagged by Highly Sensitive Tarot, my dear friend. And so I've been thinking about this for a while anyway, but then when I realized that I was tagged, I thought, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. So I'll just dive in. There are 12 prompts for this, and the first one is a deck that is an oldie but a goodie. And I had to go with the Enchanted Tarot. Now, this is the 30th anniversary edition, but of course, this is the deck by Amy Zerner and Monty Farber. Monty's books are always excellent, and I adore Amy's fabric collage artwork. And I believe they are now releasing their 35th anniversary edition, so it definitely qualifies as an oldie but a goodie. The wonderful book. And I will say, one of the things I like about this book is that for every card there is an enchantment. And it is either something kind of witchy to do, or it can be just taken as a meditation or a prompt for journaling. It isn't something you necessarily have to physically do, but it just gives you a tremendous amount to think about. And then they're wonderful. There's a quick read, the dream, the awakening, and the enchantment. And the dream, awakening, and enchantment are, the dream is kind of a meditation on the card, the awakening of kind of a way to, kind of like an action for each one. So this is my oldie but goodie deck. I do not edge many decks, but I did edge this one, and I edged it to match the various border colors. I love a deck. First of all, I do like borders, and I particularly love a deck that has different colored borders for different suits. It's something that just really clicks with me. So the beautiful, complex, one a little farther than, these elaborate fabric collage images are just incredible and so redolent and speak so loquaciously about what is within the card and the thoughts around the card. It's an oldie but a goodie. It's been, it's been around for 35 years. That's a testament to its strength as a deck and of the images. It harkens back with historical images of different cultures, and then has the unexpected too. It's just lovely, lovely deck. Sheer artistry in every aspect, I think. The second deck is a Rider-Waite Smith. I think the actual wording was a Rider-Waite Smith style deck, but I have so many Rider-Waite Smiths, and for so much of my life, my only reading was done with Rider-Waite Smith. This is Vieuxmonde, which is a publisher, so I think this qualifies as mass market. I went to their site for it, but I didn't know if mass market means you had to be able to pick it up in Walmart or on Amazon, but So I'm not really sure. But this is definitely one that's easy to get online. And this may not be my favorite version, but it really is a luscious version. It has a beautiful feel. Because of the kind of tea-stained antique look of the cards, it tones down the primary colors, although I really do love the initial quite bright and primary colors of the original deck. But this isn't a version that I see as much, and that's one reason I just wanted to kind of let people know about this version. Again, it's like you see me doing this with every card. I love the feel of these cards, and that's the backs. Beautiful weight, and the traditional imagery. So that is my Rider-Waite Smith answer to prompt number 2. A Non-Marseille pip deck. I actually have several options for this, and I thought I would go with one that I almost never see. I think this is a deck from 2021, and it's just beautiful. The Ukiyoe Tarot, and it's incredibly beautiful. And not only does it have the pips, but it has the symbol from playing card suits as well on the pips. It's a lovely, lovely feel to the cards. It's a smooth finish. As some of you will know, I tend to like larger decks. This is slightly smaller than standard, I think. Is it? Yeah, maybe a little bit smaller than standard. Which means it's very nice for large layouts, and my goodness, does it make a gorgeous spread on the table with a large layout. With these beautiful, rich tones. And flowers associated with each one of the pips, too, which is a nice addition. So, prompt number 3, a Non-Marseille pip deck. Prompt number 4, a Marseille style pip deck. And this is Fournier's Spanish Tarot with these traditional Marseille block prints, which I'm not crazy about, but I just adore the additional colors added into this deck. Between not being a fan of the block prints and not liking the I think very harsh primaries of the traditional Tarot de Marseille, I've never really gotten into that deck. I have 2 versions of it, the small and large, but the additions of the purples and the deeper greens, these shades of green, just, I think this is just a beautiful deck. I love to work with this in the autumn months. I think it has a very autumn feel. Fournier's Spanish Tarot, or Tarot Espanol. Prompt number 5, an underrated artist deck. And for me, it's the Edmund Dulac Tarot. When I got this, for some reason, I see a lot of another one. I'm blanking on the name now, the one that I see more often lately. When I love all of the illustrators from this time period who were contemporaries. And when I knew I wanted to get one of these decks, I really studied them online to see which one I felt really that the imagery worked best with the meaning of each card for me. And this was by far and away the one that I felt had the truest image to the traditional Rider-Waite Smith meanings of the cards. And so that it is even though the images are very far removed, and the images were created to illustrate different stories, so they weren't created for this, but they did not, with some artist decks, they add the wands and cups, but they didn't do that in these, which can mean it can be very confusing in some decks. But this deck, for me, by far and away, was the easiest to read and the easiest to understand. They're clearly marked. That's the 8 of Wands, or the 8 of Batons, the 2 of Cups. So clearly marked, but this deck I think is just particularly gorgeous and really clearly aligned, very well chosen to match the meaning of each one of the cards. And this is the Edmund Dulac Tarot. And so for that reason, I think it's an underrated artist deck. I almost never see people working with this online. This is this is Lo Scarabeo 2020. I think that's about the time a lot of these famous illustrator decks came out. And for me, this was, as I said, by far and away the best, and one of the most beautiful decks that I have, I think. An historical deck, also by Lo Scarabeo, the classic tarot. I have previously posted the book by Lady Lorelei called The Tarot Life Planner, which is an underrated book. I think it's an excellent book for learning pips. But I think some people thought it was like a calendar planner, and it's not. It's about using tarot to plan various aspects of your life. Excellent book, and she uses photographs of this deck throughout. Some people don't like the words along the side. I don't mind that. And this is one of the versions, mass market versions of the Soprafino deck. And I simply think this is, again, one of the most gorgeous decks that I have. I love these illustrations so much that I've thought about getting a more expensive version, handmade version of the Soprafino, but I haven't yet. This one does it for me. Just absolute, classical nudity. I should have had a classical nudity warning at the beginning of this to just get it over with. But just look at those gorgeous, gorgeous pips. Decks like this made me realize that I would like working with pips, because as I said, I had such a strong dislike for the traditional Tarot de Marseille. I really thought I would never read pips, but then I learned about decks like this, and I was like, oh, this, I can get with that. Oh, how luscious. So that is my historical deck. A deck by a renowned artist, or featuring the artwork of a renowned artist. Again, Lo Scarabeo, the Botticelli Tarot. Again, one of my most beautiful decks. I edged this deck in black because it had black borders. This is the famously very gilded deck. Now, in this deck, they did choose to add the traditional suit symbols into the artwork, and I think modifying the artwork slightly to accommodate those symbols and incorporate them better. Just a beautiful, beautiful deck. Not crazy about the definitions in this deck. And a few of the images really, there's no way to make them work with the traditional meaning of the particular card, but for the most part, it's beautiful, and I have no trouble reading this deck in spite of those things. And again, look at just how glorious this looks on the table. So, an artist don't get much more renowned than Botticelli. And the way some of these, the gilding is actually pink or highlighted with pink and blue. That was my dog. She's in the room here with me. So just an exquisitely beautiful deck. Some people say they can't work with it, and they keep it out like a coffee table book. I have no problem working with this deck, and I enjoy it tremendously. A deck by a renowned occultist. Once again, Lo Scarabeo, Atea's Il Libro di Thoth. Some of you will know I did a side-by-side study with this deck and Atea's Tarot Egyptian. And mainly because I wanted to do the side-by-side because I adore the artwork of this deck so much that I wanted to get a deeper understanding of Atea's system and the way that he worked. And now, for those of you who don't know, Atea has changed the majors. It's still the normal number of majors, but he includes the 7 days of creation, and he overlays most of the virtues along with them. Now, these are what I call static pips. They're just a line of pips inside of this shield with the same, every suit has the same floral background. It doesn't change for the card. I do like that there are faces on the coins, so that's something that you can read. But this was, I think, my third deck, and I went many, many years with this just sitting in a drawer because I didn't think I would ever read pips. And this is not even standard pips because it's Atea, and his majors were different. So for a long time I thought I'd never read it, but then I did learn pips with that Lady Lorelei book, and which I'm doing a deep study on starting in January. I'm doing my own deep study with that, with the Classico and the Tarocchi Italiani Matronua. I'm starting that in January. But so I did learn how to read with this, and I just love the artwork of the majors, the court card, just so beautiful. And it's definitely more just numerical reading because there's very little, unlike the Tarot de Marseille, you don't get any extra stuff. You just get the symbols and the number of the symbols. So there are a couple things that make this deck more difficult to read, but worth it for this incredible imagery. And that is a deck by a renowned occultist. I believe Atea was the first to assign reversal meanings to be read with the cards. And I think he's the first that also really kind of sold his decks as a party game for ladies. So that was part of his imprimatur. A recent release, I was spoiled for choice with this. I was just, someone else just recently showed again the Floral Tarot, which always surprises me with how not just beautiful it is, but how easy it is to read, given that it's all limited to flowers. But this is the one I chose, the Westwood Tarot, and one of the reasons is it's such a far cry from any of the other things I've shown so far. I love the packaging of this. This is a red wheel, and the book written by Calliope is just excellent, excellent book. And I will say, every one of the books that I've seen that go with Westwood decks are really incredible. And just these bright and fun, fanciful animal cards. I have her Tarot of the Enchanted Soul, and I really like the book, but it's a little too people-y for me. You see, even though these are art and fanciful, there's kind of a photographic quality to them. And so when you do that with the people, it looks kind of like photographs of people to me, and I always have trouble with photographs of people, and I have come to realize that I just don't connect with decks that are too people-y or the faces are too specific. There are 2 or 3 images in this deck that just don't land with me, but for the most part, I just find it tremendously enchanting. Larger cards. A favorite tower card of mine. And another favorite of mine, the High Priestess card there. The Westwood Tarot was just an incredible book. Beautiful cards, beautiful gilding, just a completely wonderful production and presentation all around. And this was a 2004 deck. An underrated deck, and for me that is The Journey to Enlightenment Tarot by Selena Joy. Love it. Illustrations by Danielle Manotius Foster. And this is also, it's not too old, 2021. But I rarely see this. I think I may have only seen one person show this deck, and I don't even think that. I think I came across this when I was looking for another deck on Tarot Art's website. I think I came across this. And it reminds me a bit of the Enchanted Tarot, that I began with today, the kind of quilting images. And there's something that reminds me about fabric collage with these, although they are not fabric collage. The complexity of patterns mixed with image. These are much busier than what I usually like, but I think the combination of the imagery and the colors, I just really like it quite a lot. This is the Journey to Enlightenment Tarot. The idea of this book is that this extraordinary deck evokes an unparalleled sense of enlightened experience through the strange and wondrous artwork of the cards and the wise words of the guidebook. And the guidebook says it helps you reveal exactly to control your future path. This deck dives far deeper than usual into the pip cards, which offer us profound messages about personal change, emotional happiness, well-being, and balance. So it's a self-understanding and self-fulfillment based deck. That's the purpose of this deck. And since that is the focus of my reading style, is more psychological and more about those things, shining a light on your need to encourage intuition, self-awareness, and healing, and help you release emotional blocks. This is another one that just looks glorious on the table when you spread it out. It's just this cacophony of color and line. Very few images have that simplicity. That's an interesting hermit to me. This is published by Watkins, but as I said, I got this, I think, from Tarot Arts. So again, I'm not sure where this falls in being mass market, but yeah, I mean, as far as I know, it's a mass market deck. It's not, it's not a self-made deck that I purchased through Etsy, so yeah. Nice sized guidebook and wonderful weight cards. Nice, not oracle weight. The ones I just showed before this with the animals are a little more oracle weight. These are much more playing card weight, a little heavier, but really nice. Beautiful, beautiful production on this. And that is my underrated deck. An important esoteric deck. This is a deck that I found out about when it was not mass market. And then by the time I got around to getting it, I was very surprised to find that it had gone mass market and that was on Amazon. The Splendor Solace Tarot, Inner Alchemies of Mithraic Light by Marie Angelo. Using the artwork from the historic Splendor Solace text. Nice box. As you see, I have not worked with it. I have walked through it on my own, but so you will notice as we go through this, the images do not correspond to anything in a normal system of the regular, Rider-Waite Smith or Tarot de Marseille. It's not a normal system. It doesn't intend to be. It is about the historic document that is the Splendor Solis. I don't know if I can do justice. If you're interested in it, there are a couple really good videos on YouTube about it. So it's about alchemy, but it's also about Kabbalah because the Tree of Life is incorporated into the images. These borders change throughout the deck. And I'll read the back of the box while I go through these. The Renaissance masterpiece, Splendor Solis, attributed to legendary adept Solomon Trismosin, reveals glorious illuminations that teach the secrets of alchemy. If you love images, inner journeys, and mystic symbols, you will love this beautiful set, which is at once a radiant work of art distilling the glories of an entire mystery school of visionary imagination, and a full deck of 78 gold-embossed tarot cards in one-on-one alignment with the well-loved tarot emblems. I would debate that, whether it's a really good one-on-one alignment. This golden treasure box also contains the 224 illustrated book of splendors, a lyrically written, and it is lyrically written, resource for readings, and an apprentice alchemist guide to the mystic journey. Now, here's a perfect example of the Tree of Life imposed on the tree here. The minor arcana details, along with the diagrams and esoteric tracing boards that illustrate the companion book, are the work of the author Marie Angelo. The 4 elemental colors were hand-painted by tarot specialist and visionary Deborah Bacchi in true alchemical fashion with, quote, dew collected at dawn during the times of the ram and the bull, end quote. And there are, whether or not it's in this book, there are resources that detail more of how and where these images fit in with the historic Splendor Solis manuscript. The Splendor Solis manuscript is from 1582. So here you see sparkling air. And now we're in the majors. All of them have different names, although it does say the alchemy of the world, the alchemy of judgment, but they have other titles up above. Clearly alchemical references here. Just glorious, glorious cards. I have to say, this is a deck, and I will say it's a slight rose petal, so it's just sumptuous. Does it spread well? Maybe not as well as others. It spreads okay. So it's really kind of, it's rose petal, but it's a very smooth rose petal. But as I was going to say, this is one deck I got knowing I might never use this deck. Much like the Solabusca, I might never use this deck, but I just think it's so unique and so fascinating, and, you know, 1500s, that's my bag, and just so beautiful, this soft gold gilding. Just it's a beautiful production, and I was so, what I was blown away with is that this is the mass market production, and it's this beautiful, and because I had been watching the original version that was not mass market, and I think this mass market version managed very much to capture the production quality of the original, and which I was kind of blown away with. So that's the Important Esoteric deck, and that's that kind of encapsulates why I got it. Whether or not I ever use it, it's an Important Esoteric deck. So now, my favorite mass market publisher of collector decks. You know, this is something I had just never given any thought to before. I simply had not thought about a favorite publisher. I think I would have told myself that it's US Games, because I probably have more US games than any other, except if you go by the preponderance today, it would be Los Scarabeo. So that's what I went with today for my answer. I personally don't really care about having a favorite publisher. I mean, I think like Fournier, I do love the feel of the Fournier decks, but I also really like the feel of the traditional Los Scarabeo. As I said, I almost gave this deck away before I did my deep dive with it. I almost gave this deck away, but then one time I was going through the deck, and it just felt like it warmed and melted into my hand, and so I said we had a moment together. We had a moment, and since we had a moment, I couldn't give it up, but with an awareness that that is the traditional Los Scarabeo classic tarot size paper, and their paper. So I just think it's a really nice paper. It's not, that's not to say, I will say I like differences in the paper. So I love the feel of, you know, the handmade paper feel of some of the Il Meneghello decks. And I love the oracle card feel of other decks. I enjoy the differences. It's just like enjoying differences amongst different people. So I don't know that I mentioned when I had a deck that I thought felt particularly nice in the hand, but I think these do too. And so anyway, I don't need to ramble more about that. So with not really having a favorite publisher, I know Los Scarabeo is, and I certainly have other Los Scarabeo decks. So I'll end it there. Nova Monday, thank you again for such a just wonderful hashtag, a different way to think about decks, and certainly to think about the components of what makes us like different decks. And I had never isolated my mass market decks before, I think, in my mind in this way. So that's been an interesting part of this for me. And thanks again to Highly Sensitive Tarot for tagging me in this. And I hope you enjoyed going through these with me. This is Cara from Cara Tarot. Have a lovely day.